Afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. It's a privilege to orchestrate this conversation. I think it's very timely that we are talking about specialty chemicals on the first day itself. And I think we wouldn't have a better panel than this today to explore these questions. I think we have leaders who've built businesses from scratch, who've managed large chemical plants and seen the journey of Indian chemical industry over the last 30 odd years. And some of them have actually also challenged how large B2B companies are thinking about even brand, which is unheard of in the Indian chemical industry. So my hope is that it's not a predictable and a benign panel. I think the issues and the questions that we have should entice some striking responses from our panelists. And I think with that context, I'll set up the discussion and why it's important for us to be discussing this today. I think we are at a pivotal moment in Indian chemical industry. I think not a long time ago, if you would have looked at it, way back in, I would say, 2020, we barely had 5 chemical companies that were beyond any significant valuation in India. We had like 4 companies with more than $1 billion valuation 20 years back. Today, in 2025, we have more than 100 companies in India which are more than $250 million valuation, and we have 41 companies that are $1 billion valuation plus. And I think this is not counting many family-owned, PE-owned companies and subsidiaries of companies that are yet to be listed. So we are at a moment where the scale of Indian chemical companies is large enough for them to aspire to be the next largest chemical companies out of India. And I think the issue is that chemicals is not a monolith. Chemicals is not steel. Chemicals is not cement. Chemicals is a different industry and it has its own set of challenges. So I'm hoping that the questions we have today will share some light, and I think the proof of the pudding will be that we build on these conversations after the room, and I think that's where we will see a lot of value coming out. So with that, I will start the session. So Mr. Anjani, the question to you would be, let me start with a slightly uncomfortable question. In Indian chemicals, we sometimes use the word specialty a little bit too loosely. If a product is more than $3 a kilo, if it gets a little bit of more margin than a normal product, do we still classify that as a specialty chemical product? According to you, what's the definition of specialty chemicals?
I feel any products which could be forming a package and giving a solution to the customer and adding value to the customers and the mills. I mean, in our industry, textiles, there are different kinds of processes used by the end mills. Now, you may have a commodity, but you package it into a specialty package, then it has a value. Otherwise, if you miss that small component, that package is not full. So it's a blend of some commodities and specialties, but the most important is how you create value through a package and problem solving to the customers. That's where I term it around. And specialties, basic chemicals are okay, but there are value-added products which are there. In our industry, I feel we touch every chemistry. We are not leaders in each of these chemistries, but we blend it into formulation. Then we go ahead. So it's also a skillful formulation, which is very important in the specialty chemicals.
Raj, what's your take about this question?
Specialty chemicals, the name is actually, comes from industry. But if I see from someone, an inside-out view, then a specialty chemicals is something which you have a differentiation, or you do differently as compared to anyone else. It's not that specialty chemicals is something you do and nobody else do, but you have the capability to do it, differently, innovatively, and therefore, it's distinctive as whether process-wise or chemistry-wise or value addition-wise. So that's how I feel. Otherwise, specialty chemicals as a name, is an industry, used or practiced. Yeah.
I think to follow up on that question, and this is my pet question to you, Raj. What's the one global specialty chemical company that you admire, and why?
I mean, there would be few, but one of the name which comes to my mind is Solvay, for so sure. Um, Again, because I think the topic is scale versus what, I don't know. But they have been able to not only innovate but come up with solutions which are very, very unique, and therefore they have been pioneer in terms of coming up with those solutions which probably the industry would have thought to come maybe in 5 to 10 years time. They have been ahead of curve. I remember some time back they came with a very innovative compound, which was used in aircraft. Now today, that is being very widely used, but they have been the one who have been pioneer in terms of bringing innovative solutions to the industry. So I think one name which comes is Solvay.
Bhautik?
No, as Raj mentioned, I think there are many companies that we actually admire, right? Because building something with a mindset of continuous innovation, coming up with products and solutions, addressing and simplifying people's needs is not an easy task, right? And understanding our customer pain points, and then after doing everything, building up scale, coming up at cheaper cost, and then delivering solutions. So yes, there are many companies. I think we admire quite a few. Most of our customers, UPL being one of them, definitely has been one of the biggest customers that we speak, and we have scaled on the global scale. It is BASF, Science, which is ex-Solvay. DuPont, I think, has been leading innovators globally, and there are many Japanese. I think there are a lot more on the flavors and fragrances as well. So I think the list is quite long, but I think what they have built with patience and admiration over years is commendable. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking about how companies have been building stuff over years. Some companies recognize value pools earlier than others. If you are thinking about Aarti Industries today, what are the few value pools that you think are really going to be big? And what did it take internally for you to convince the board that here is a place where we need to invest?
Vinit, this is an excellent question. And while this looks like a single question, I think there are many questions embedded within it, right? So maybe let us take a step back. I think when we talk about value pools, as we understand, has always been built in episodes, and they've never been permanent in nature, right? And the sector to sector things have moved. If you look at last 5 decades, earlier it was refineries, followed by petrochemicals, dyes, pigments, pharma, agro, and the list kept on going, fine chemicals and all, right? What the value pool was created by those early movers who decided to and made a deliberate choice to be present in that space, and present when they did not have any tailwinds, right? But an element to understand what are the customer needs, what are the products, what are the problems, how do we solve it, build scale, build supply chain, and deliver value, right? So there was a deliberate choice that was there. Now, if you look at the last 10 years, what are the areas which are getting created? I think in the morning panel we discussed on many segments, but AI-led innovation is actually driving a lot of the big play. Now you can break it down into semiconductors, electronic chemicals. EV is a bigger space which can lead to battery chemicals and the like. Defense has taken a significant momentum. Circularity, bio. I think these are water. I think water was talked about a lot in the morning. I think these are spaces which are available and which will see a next decade of growth. Now it is important that how do you participate? You can participate either by doing things organically, which is what classically everyone does. You can do partnerships, which is what I think is one of the best approaches, or you can do M&As, right? This is what you can do. We have internally identified that these are the sectors and the segments which are going to see decadal growth. What synergies can we add value to the segments? And what are new capabilities we need to build? Because we will never have all the capabilities built in-house, right? So we'll have to spend time, build capabilities, have the right set of talent to create value within its side. And if you do that, there are phenomenal set of opportunities available, not across chemicals, but even going from chemicals to advanced materials. So for example, if I take a case like wires, wires is a very commoditized segment, right? But there are high-end wires which requires high-end engineering polymers. And none of us even know in India that these are possible, right? But if there's an element that someone is able to build that engineering polymers and work with a closely wire company to build partnership together to bring that entire value to India, that is definitely doable. And I think there are tons of areas that we can do that. So AI-led boom is, I think, is definitely will lead to a lot of those places. India is seeing a specific growth specifically in the semiconductor segment, and AI-led innovation, because the cost of innovation with the help of AI is going to come down significantly. So that ability of innovation in applications which were untested for years now is possible. So we see, and we are participating in those spaces as well as a part of our growth story.
So Ravindra ji, I think just to build on to that question, many Indian chemical companies claim that they do R&D, but in fact what they're doing is process innovation. Till the extent it delivers shareholder value, it's not wrong. But I think you have taken a deliberate bet with your recent acquisition. What kind of investment has led to real ROI for you?
Okay, Vinit, just before going to that question on acquisition about R&D setup to start with, I would like to go and state that in India, as chemical companies, our average spending on R&D is far below than global standards. We were not 20% of global standard, and we always like to compare ourselves with China as competitive or role model, see their investment and growth. For Calibre perspective, I would say it's very interesting bet, and it has been paid up when I see back 3 years journey. When 2021 acquisition happened between family and PE, we are like a MSME company. Today we are like a moderate, mid-size chemical, specialty chemical company. And one prominent missing muscle, I would say, in Calibre's strength was we are doing whatever you mentioned, like process optimization R&D, and we don't have hardcore R&D. So we are very liberal in our thought process to have our own R&D and not bound by any segment or chemistry where we want to operate it. That's the reason we acquired a R&D setup in Bangalore with 10 scientists, and we did start with the pharma, which is like India is one of the growing industry, and we expect it to grow to further. So in last 3 years, what we have built in with this acquisition is like today when I see there is a pipeline of products which are like 13 to 14 products which are in commercial phase. Even this financial year, they will be delivering 100 plus crores things. That is I called as R&D 1. And now our next journey is going to be with R&D 2. We are expanding large size R&D in Baroda, where like there will be like 40 scientists and 4 distinguished product verticals. They will work with applications which are coexisting with our application customers and totally new applications, like we talk about low Earth orbit aspirations for India. And this R&D setup is also absolutely going to help us to work on propellant areas, which is like very promising and upcoming area. So in nutshell, and one thing I would like to add on this forum is like we as Indian company always like to see how much we spend in R&D, and year one we started calculating ROI, how much we spend, what we generated, what are the margins, bottom line. But I think we need to give time to R&D setup and keep investing into R&D engine, then it will be going to explore for us. So that's very, very interesting, I would say, and I encourage everyone, like we as MSME company, mid-sized company, even well-established company, we need to continue spending on R&D. Thank you.
Jay, I think ABG also has set up an R&D facility in Germany, which is quite unique as compared to any other Indian company. So what's been your learning when you look at the last couple of years when you set this up?
I think we built a German facility somewhere around 2013, and then we started kind of doing business in Germany, and the story starts much before that. If I recall somewhere around 2007-8 time frame, we were a close to 60 KT epoxy producing company, mainly located in the Thailand, and we were kind of exporting materials to the Europe, US, and India. Somewhere in between, when we were exporting materials to the Europe, we understood this nuance of formulation and specialty material thing, that the value and the customer stickiness lies only in this particular space. And we wanted to play a long game in Europe. We were not there to be just a epoxy supplier from the distance, like many Chinese and Korean companies were doing. And just to fulfill this dream, we acquired the CTP in Germany, and it was run by a great technocrat. German technocrat, had good manufacturing capability and some bit of R&D into this. And so fast forward in 2013, when 13 or 15 time frame, when Thailand lost this GSP status, and we had 120 KT capacity sitting in India, when the Indian demand was only 50 to 60 KT, we had a combination of two important factors. We had the capacity, and then we had the capability of the formulation. The only missing bit was the R&D or the application development. And then we invested a good amount of money and time also to build that capability. And if I see in the retrospect what kind of learnings we have got, that's the first question that you are asking. The first thing that we learned, that application development is a different beast altogether compared to the R&D of the molecules, or doing something in the scale plant, developing molecule, then doing engineering. Application development is a space where you need to blend few molecules and make sure that it has a right property for that particular application. And it is so difficult that if you see even in the globe, very few MNCs are controlling this application development area across the globe. Even in the sectors, you take the polyurethane or the siloxanes, only few companies have controlled this application development thing. So this is the art that we learned there. Second thing that we learned, that problem for the R&D or the application development should come from the customer rather than a scientist doing some kind of hypothesis in isolation. Because in the first case, you have market readily available, you are solving a problem to the customer, and that gives you a kind of long-term business visibility. Rather than in the second case, you have to develop the molecule, look for the market for that, and look for the time and maturity of the market to able to take that thing. I think the third thing is when you develop R&D capability in the mature market, you not only get the capability, you get a way of working. You know, when we developed this R&D capability in Germany, we got very good polymer and the material scientists. Those had decades of experience of developing this particular application, and they know how to do it. They have a different kind of process rigor. They had a different view on manufacturability and application orientation since the start. And this bit was missing in India and even in Thailand, because Thailand also we have a huge R&D setup, primarily centered around basic chemical and very basic formulation. Fourth thing that we have observed is that regulatory and sustainability are not the compliances, they are the differentiators and can become a core competitive advantage in certain geographies. there is one more thing, that when you are operating in the mature market, you are dealing with very kind of demanding customer compared to emerging economies. So when you are dealing with those demanding customers, you tend to translate similar learnings in the emerging economies as well. And the fourth thing, and I mean the last thing, that the list is long, but I'll just take this last one. The kind of network effect it creates. So we have one good setup of R&D in Thailand, Rayong. We have a good setup in Navi Mumbai. And then we have application development center in Germany. And the kind of network effect we see across these three geographies, and the cross learning happens from Europe to India, India to Europe, because India and Thailand, these two geographies are mainly centered around the cost improvement and developing applications more centered around this part of the world. Well, Germany, we are more focused on application, specification, and kind of delivering very niche and specialty products. So we can bring some of those products from Germany to India.
But if you're being brutally honest, do you really believe the technology transfer from a Western nation to an Indian setup is easy? Because I've been talking to the ABG folks, and they say it's pretty hard to convince the Westerners to give technology to the Indian guys. Be honest.
No, that's the real thing. That's the first reason we set up our R&D and application development center there. Because even if you ask any MNC to give you the technology for formulation or application, they'll straight away say no. They are ready to give you the technology for the base material or N-2 or N-3 of that application. And the same thing we were also struggling. I'll just give you one more example. In Europe, in US also we are there. And in US, in one end we have Olin and Westlake kind of the companies who are playing the complete commodity play, and another end we have companies like Huntsman, and they have dominated the entire specialty chain. So if you want to play in those markets and want to remain relevant for long term, we need to develop those capabilities in-house. Once you have those capabilities in-house, then you can easily transport those things to India. And some of the things those are being developed in India, we can take the learnings to the European or the US market. So this is how the network effect of R&D works. And I think we are seeing the good benefit out of it.
So it's been 10 years in the making. Hopefully some transfer happens to India.
Yeah, sure.
Deepak ji, I think, what does application selling mean for you in your new role at GFL, especially for the fluoropolymers division?
Yeah, it's a very relevant question, Vinit, in terms of today's context of specialty chemicals and GFL as a whole. So GFL, we have established ourselves in Indian and global market in terms of applications. Not even in India, but globally in developed economies of Europe and US. And when I look back and see the GFL journey, a small story comes into my mind is a sales person who sells the shoes, and he's being sent to an island, and he finds that nobody is wearing shoes there. And now he has two choices: coming back and say that there is no market there, or he chooses that, yes, I can see the market there, I can develop. So we as a GFL believes in the second part. And if you see, we have put in battery chemicals. We are already the first producer of battery chemicals, electrolytes, and cathode material, LiPF6, LFP, without having market in India. We know that we've seen the trend, we've seen the future, and we were sure that the market will come, and today we are successful in commercializing those products. So, and when I look back, we started 2008, we started producing fluoropolymers, and then there were hardly any ecosystem of fluoropolymers in India. there are a handful of products, companies who were processing fluoropolymers. And neither they are having access to the right technology or they are not having access to the right material. And fast forward 20 years now, we have worked with all these processors to develop their applications, their machines. If you see, their machines were kind of designed to run the handful of legacy product fluoropolymers. We worked with them over a period of time, and now you can see that there is a whole ecosystem of fluoropolymers in India, where not even our customers are supplying in Indian market. They have been a force in global markets as well. So over a period of last 20 years, GFL has kind of established themselves in fluoropolymers only through applications globally. Today we produce PTFE, PFA, PVDF, FCAM, FFCAM, micropowders, PPA. These are the already commercialized products, and certain products we are kind of into the pipelines. In terms of applications, we are now looking beyond the conventional applications like thread seal tapes, like electrical tapes, like wire and cables, like chemical linings, like metal, fabric coating, all household utensils coatings. Those are the applications that we have worked in last so many years, and we have consolidated our work there. Now we are looking at the sunrise sectors where we have already either commercialized our products or we are into development of certain grades, certain products, certain modifications. So just to say in terms of sunrise sectors, you take example of semiconductor. So we are already supplying our PFA and PTFE for the applications into chemical storage devices, chemical transfer devices, and wafer carriers. So that's where we are already doing it. And ISM2 just recently kind of government has announced, so we see a lot of potential there. We are working on green hydrogen, where fluoropolymers find application in electrolysis gaskets and membrane supports. That's where we are already there. Battery chemicals, I already told that. That's a field where we are producing PVDF, PTFE, going into binders, going into separators, going into separator coatings. So a lot of applications there. We are supplying, working on PVDF membranes for bioreactors. That's another applications. Working on fuel cells, working on medical devices. So a lot of these new age applications, that's fluoropolymers find applications. That's we are working in terms of already supplying our material or we are into development. Having said that, it's not easy. We've been working to establish this. So we have created capabilities. We have our application labs where we can do all miniature applications that our customer do at their end. We have great customer connect. We are connected to last mile customers. We understand their challenges, their opportunities, and we are connected with them. Number 3 is collaboration. So I told you example of green hydrogen. So there, our end user, they wanted gasket. So our Indian processor could produce gasket and can supply to the European, the US customers. So this was a three-way relationship where we supplied, we three worked together to identify the right material mix for producing gaskets. So we did a lot of iteration, but finally the product came through. It is already working well. And also the end use understanding. So today, whatever our chemical processors are, fluoropolymer products that they are producing are majorly going into chemical industries and other industries. So we are very much connected with all the chemical industries So just give you an example, we had an Fluoro Connect event in April where we invited almost hundreds of delegates all over India, and we understood their challenges, opportunities. We shared with them what kind of work we are doing, and that created a lot of new projects for them and us, and we are now collaborating with them. And the next thing is the talent management. We don't get the talent ready-made. We take people from leading engineering institutes and marketing institutes, and we nurture them, we take care of them in their growth, and that's how they deliver. And the speed of execution and the focus that's already there. So I want to kind of urge all the people sitting here that whatever chemicals you are producing today, you can always find application in sunrise sectors. Only thing you need to either you do the work at your factories, in your research and development setups or application development, or you do collaboration to kind of bring the right product, the right grade, or the modified grade, or the equivalent grade, and opportunities are plenty. Thank you.
Raj, I will sort of take a detour from the general R&D type questions. I think you've challenged the orthodoxy around just a standard B2B Indian chemical company by investing heavily in branding. Or at least that's the perception, and it feels like you've done a bloody good job at it. What's your take on investment in brand building? More like thinking chemical companies thinking like B2C companies maybe at times. And what's your experience been after you've reincarnated yourself as Superform?
This brand building journey, has been a journey which is to bring you closer to the customer. I mean, there is a brand is all about perception. So, you are able to bring your company closer to the customer is the bridge. The brand is, all about. For example, sports and chemicals, does not have any relationship. But last World Cup, we were one of the sponsors of the Soccer World Cup, which is now going on, right? Now, that was because that we wanted, 4, 5, 7, 10 years back, we were primarily looked at like an agriculture input company, and therefore, linked to agriculture. And we said that, soccer is a very important kind of a phenomena, which is like a cult in South America, Africa, Europe. And that's where agriculture is all about, right? And we said that, through soccer, can we bring agriculture and our company together? So brand is a medium by which you can convey the story, your story to the customer and customer story back to us. And that's an investment. In my view, it's not an expense, that's an investment. The question is that what is the optimum investment you have to do? It's not about bringing a new logo and that's what brand is. You have to live with the value of that brand every day. And that's how over a period of time you are able to build it. So that's my view on chemical company investing in brand.
Anjani ji, what's your experience been working with Archroma?
Yeah. I mean, from the day one, when I started off the journey, we were called Sandoz. Then we brought over Herx, we became Clariant. And from the Clariant, then we have 2 BASF companies coming in. So it's continuous evolution. Then we have the Huntsman. All the key global companies in our field is within our company. So in order to really sustain that, work done by all these legacy companies, that was a bit difficult to really go ahead. What we did was we correlated the value chain. I mean, we have our mills, our own, which are our customers, and then the brands to whom they supply. I give you an example. we developed a new product, which is derived from the almond nuts shells and all the waste. And we converted that into sulfur dyes, for example. And then we called it the earth colors. And this was used by our mill, like Endocount, and they promoted like a pure earth to the Costco's. And then Patagonia went ahead and promoted in another way. So the brand through the product, this was well established. The other thing which was did on the denim industry, everyone wears a denim, but people don't know that the denim what they're wearing is carcinogenic because there are a lot of aniline there. So we developed pure aniline-free based denim, and this was promoted in a big way to the brand, and this really helped a lot. So there are a lot of stories like that. We are now working on a wool waste, converted that into a dye stuff, and then going in the whole value chain. So we may collect maybe from Raymond's the wool waste, convert that into a dye, and to bring it back to Raymond's for the usage. So the whole circularity is also we're trying to develop. When you go to the stores of all the brands, there you'll find high IQ tags. So this high K tag means what? 20 washes or 30 washes, it will stay bright, your fabric. So those kind of co-branding is helping us to be, moving ahead. And if you look at Adidas, I was wearing that T-shirt. I was not knowing that it's treated with our own products in the beginning. I went for this cricket match, and then I was sitting in the stadium and all, heat and, with all these humid conditions. But I was feeling comfortable. And I paid 5,000 rupees for that. Normally a T-shirt will cost, in real cost, will be 300 rupees. But then I went into the deep of it, that was treated with some special chemicals out of what we do, and it created that kind of a comfort. So that's where the whole branding goes. So one is through the product and process, and through our mills, through the brands, and through our own promotions. And that's what we are doing in innovation is anything what we produce has to be sustainable, has to be having a customer value creation. And we don't restrict ourselves just to, kind of an R&D from a molecule and develop it, and takes maybe years to actually see the fruits of that, innovation. We also focus a lot on open innovation, collaboration, and institutes. And with the new EFTA agreement signed, there are a lot of European companies who are now willing to give technologies, and they want to scale up. They don't have that power to scale it up. They're looking at partners. That's where a big chance is there for us to do it. We took the bold step also on innovation to stop down in Switzerland, and all the other sites, all the innovation centers, brought it to India. And so it's possible to do that once you have this IP protection quite well, and then you also have your own brand creation through all this value chain, you can do wonderful things.
So just to follow on to that question, less than 50% of the world's top 100 ICIS companies have any meaningful manufacturing in India, despite us being the world's 5th largest market, arguably. For Archroma, that's not the case.
We are doing that. We have 3 big plants here, and the similar technologies are made in Germany. Maybe we do it better. Some of the sites which we have such modern and the best of facilities, which even the European side doesn't have.
So what's been your pitch to the global leadership? Like what's, apart from India, just large, like being a large
one is that
textile
cost of production, the conversion cost, that's quite good here. Also the biggest advantage, if suppose something goes, and the whole world is changing, tomorrow you want to close a site. In France you forget. So getting a technology, making a manufacturing site, and then later on when the market shift, and you have seen this whole, in our industry, the market shifted from US to Europe and then to Asia, very fast. And it's all about labor cost, energy cost, end of the day. And where the raw materials are available and where the consumptions are there. Fortunately for us, out of the 7 or 8 billion population, 6 are going to be within Asia, Africa.
Ravindra ji, I think you've taken a contrary view because you've gone and done an acquisition in Germany. So what's been your experience? What's the rationale? And then how do you, what has the process of acquisition taught you that no model or no financial model can ever teach you?
Yeah, Vinit, when you go for a global acquisition, cross-border acquisition, all the inputs are critical. To start with, bankers, due diligence, and everything. When we are trying to acquire that company, we are also competing with another European bidder. And finally, that we won the bid. What biggest two learnings from this acquisition for us was like our basic expectation from this acquisition is like we'll have something mix and Eastern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere, and good to have it like it's opaque experience. And we have very heavily reliance on one of the per-sulfate product where we are making only one product. With this acquisition, we have now bouquet of the product for the offering. And this side we got from Evonik, wherein what biggest surprises for us was like technology. And I will explain it a bit, and then customers, global murky customers. So while doing the acquisition, we don't have any intent to have another site in India. But when we say this European site is just sufficient for Europe, Europe is well protected against Chinese export, but there's an entire rest of world market available. And this site is 55-year-old site. So a lot of experience, innovative things are available, which we decided to bring back to India without disturbing European facility. That site is still intact, running well. But what we got is technology extension for India, where we put involved like 240 crore capex in Saika, build a new greenfield site. And that site is up and running, functional, catering to rest of world market. So this is like very beautiful thing when we initially don't think of, but when in the process we learn through. And second thing is like customers. Why we intend to spend 240 for freshly capex is Europe is supplying to certain set of customers. But luckily these all the customers has global presence. They are present in LATAM, they are present in US, they are present in Asia. So India being like competitive, I won't say like very cheap manufacturing cost, but competitive in international arena. We got benefited with this acquisition. It was, and we have the reference with our European facility to get quick qualifications.
But are you going to invest more capex in Europe, or that's off the table?
We are still doing, but not heavily. So like there are some technological changes, some automation, changing some ERP models. We are doing that, and we continue to do it. We have even we are recruiting some new fresh talent in that site, but we are also focusing on Indian side. So it's like a, for us, complementing European site is complementing to India side. So when we as a management team think through, we always see like what Europe brings in and what India brings in. So it's like cumulative sum, and we are quite content and happy with this acquisition. It also like always good for like small scale mid-sized Indian company having global presence and still continue with both the sides. So I would say like it's quite good experience for us, Calibre.
Bhautik, you have been pretty shy of doing M&A in Aarti. So what's your philosophy been?
So sorry.
You have been shy of doing any international M&A at Aarti. So what's your philosophy been?
While shy may not be the right word, I think fundamentally, I think we believed in building things versus acquiring things. So if you see the last 40 years, what we have built, while we have more than 100 plus products and 40 odd chemistries, all has been actually built inside Aarti. And that is what we had kind of built up pride in. But that's where the focus of this meeting also goes. Like the focus was a lot more on scale. And in the last few years, we have shifted a lot more on innovation. And as I think rightly said by a few of the panelists here, I think application development is not that easy. While acquiring the tech is also as tricky as we speak, but it is not that easy. So last at least couple of years, we have kind of opened our mindset that where to do acquisition upon. It has to be very focused and value accretive there, so that we can synergize on what we have already built, right? And given our exposure to wide range of end applications, we actually see a lot of potential out there. I think at an appropriate valuation, we are open. We have evaluated, I think, we have evaluated more than 50 odd companies right now as a part of the proposition. We are waiting for those 2 to 3 good value-add areas where we can actually forward integrate. Yeah.
Raj, I think to build on this, you've now, as UPL, become the world's third or fourth largest ag chem company, and I think the Shroff family over the years has really built this business into one of the largest from India. I think in your experience, what fundamental shift in the owner-management relationship occurred, which sort of created the enablers to create such a large chemical company out of India?
So, it has been a company which is very professionally led. There are governance mechanisms which are there in place, it's a very active board, which also guides the decision making process. So it's not that family is involved, but it's not that everything has to pass through that filter. Maybe a very little has to pass through that filter because of the governance mechanism. It's a collective management, right? But the functions and the companies are managed very, very independently of the strategic objectives. And of course, the larger piece has been on maximizing the shareholders' value.
To conclude, Raj, could rapid fire to you, what should Indian chemical companies stop doing?
Stop taking the easy route. For example, the two main things, one was touched by someone here in my panel, that invest heavily on R&D, do the hard work, don't take the easy route, right? And the second thing is also, which is the talent management, When we expand, I've seen this industry seeing more than double digit, in fact, close to 20%, 25%, attrition rates. That's not acceptable. I think that's the easiest thing we do. We don't want to work hard. We don't want to work at the grassroots level in terms of bringing talent there, both on the shop floor and also as part of the management, I'm saying. And these two things are fundamental, because without people, you don't achieve your objective. And without technology, this industry doesn't exist. I don't come from chemical, neither am a chemical engineer. For a long time, I worked in cement. It's one technology, one process. There is nothing more you can do there, right? It's the location. But here it's very different. You have, technology drives everything, and that differentiates it. If we don't work hard there, and if we don't, we don't need to copy. I think we should stop doing that. We should stop. You can hire people, but you can't hire loyalty. Today you can hire, tomorrow he will go, and that's what exactly is happening. Look at everybody's CV, you will find the same guy, working in 5 or 7 different companies in the same sector. That's not, that's the easy route which our industry has taken. I think we need to stop that, and we should be able to compete with the Chinese. I think Chinese system is very different than ours.
Anjani ji, any last remarks from you?
Safety becomes the most important. That should never be neglected. In our industry, you see that amount of disasters happen around the world. And I see when I move around, there are still a lot of scope to really educate, both on safety and governance aspect.
Okay. So I think we are at the cusp of our time. Thank you for the panelists in sharing their thoughts. I think just the last closing remark from my side is, we import around about $70 billion worth of chemicals today. And arguably more than 50% of it is specialty chemicals. India's import-export gap is around about $35 billion today. And after the usual culprits, maybe oil, gold, and electronics. Chemicals is by far the largest gap in our import bill. So it's contingent upon the people in this room and the leaders in this room to make sure that we really grow our sector and do justice to the third largest economy in the world. Thank you.